The sun barely pierced through the thick clouds above the ruined city. Lyra ran across the broken streets, her small feet kicking up dust from the crumbled concrete. She had grown up in these ruins, learning to move quietly, to hide when danger came, and to trust her instincts above all else. Life on this planet was dangerous. Machines that were once meant to serve had turned against the inhabitants, and rogue mercenaries roamed the streets, taking whatever they wanted. Yet somehow Lyra always survived. She never knew why. Far above her, hidden among the floating debris of old orbital platforms, a human watched her through layers of reinforced glass and advanced scopes. Jack's eyes, sharp and steady, followed every movement. He adjusted the controls of his station silently, targeting a small drone hovering dangerously close to the alley Lyra was about to enter. A gentle tap on the console, a pulse of energy from his weapon, and the drone exploded in a harmless flash of sparks. Lyra paused, puzzled, looking around for what had caused it. She shrugged and continued running. Jack had been doing this for 10 years. 10 long years of watching, protecting, and intervening without ever letting her see him. He had been a soldier once, sent here on a mission to destroy the city. Orders were clear and failure meant death. But the moment he saw Lyra as a baby, crawling amidst the rubble while her parents fought to survive, something inside him changed. He refused to let her die. He swore he would keep her safe no matter what. And he had kept that promise silently. Lyra had never known the human existed. To her, survival was a mix of luck, skill, and the strange little things that always seemed to happen just in time. A beam falling away from her path, a scavenger distracted at the right moment, a small gadget that appeared near her hiding spot. She never questioned it. She just believed she was careful, clever, and lucky. Jack watched her now, seeing the girl he had grown to admire from afar. She had grown into a strong young woman, agile and intelligent. Her movements were quick and precise, and her eyes always scanned for threats. But she still had moments of hesitation, moments when a simple mistake could cost her life. Jack's fingers twitched as he adjusted his rifle, keeping her safe once again without letting her suspect a thing. The planet itself had changed over the years. Once a thriving hub of trade and culture, it was now a battlefield. Cities were crumbling, skies scarred by energy blasts from ancient weapons, and the air was thick with dust and ash. But among this destruction, Lyra moved like a shadow, surviving where others had failed. And Jack's presence, invisible but unwavering, was the reason. A sudden explosion rocked the street ahead. Lyra ducked instinctively, pressing herself against a broken wall as debris rained down. Her heart raced. She could hear the shouting of the mercenaries closing in. They were fast, ruthless, and unrelenting. She knew she couldn't outrun them all. Her mind raced, trying to find an escape. Far above, Jack's eyes narrowed. He had anticipated this moment. The mercenaries had been tracking her for days, unaware that someone was already watching. With calm precision, he activated a sequence on his console. Tiny drones emerged from hidden compartments in the orbital station, swarming the street below. Energy pulses from the drones created blinding flashes and loud bangs, scattering the mercenaries and giving Lyra the chance to escape. Lyra ran, her legs pumping as adrenaline coursed through her. She glanced around, trying to understand what had just happened. For a moment, she thought she had imagined the flashes and the sounds, but the path was clear. Whoever or whatever had intervened had saved her life again. She swallowed hard, her chest heaving. She did not know it, but Jack allowed himself a small sigh of relief. Another day, another life saved. As the sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the city, Lyra reached the edge of the ruins. She paused for a moment, looking at the horizon. In the distance, the faint outline of a warlord's fortress gleamed under the dying light. Krivos, the man who had taken so much from the planet and from its people, controlled everything now, and yet Lyra still survived, still fought, and still hoped. Jack adjusted his position in the orbital station. He had watched Lyra grow from a helpless baby to a capable young woman, all from afar. Over the years, he had learned her routines, her strengths, and her weaknesses. He had seen her fall and rise again, always just in time, and through it all, he never intervened unnecessarily. His goal was not to be seen or known. He wanted her to grow strong, to survive on her own, but with the quiet assurance that he was always there. That night, Lyra found a small device tucked under a pile of rubble near her shelter. It was strange, metallic, and unlike anything she had ever seen. Curious, she picked it up and examined it. She pressed a few buttons and it emitted a soft light, A series of strange symbols appeared on its surface, patterns that seemed to pulse in response to her touch. Lyra frowned, puzzled. She had no idea who had left it, but instinctively she felt it was meant for her. She tucked it into her bag, thinking it might be useful someday. Meanwhile, Jack watched from above, a small, almost imperceptible smile on his face. She had found the device. It was one of many small interventions he had prepared over the years. A silent gift. A piece of protection that might one day help her understand that she was never truly alone. But not yet. Not until the time was right. Over the next weeks, Lyra continued her life in the ruins. She scavenged for food, avoided dangers, and explored the broken streets with cautious curiosity. But the planet had grown more dangerous. Krivos's forces were expanding, and reports of captured children and families reached her ears. Lyra knew she could not hide forever. Survival was no longer enough. She had to act, to resist, to find a way to fight back. Jack prepared for what was coming. From his orbital station, he monitored the movements of Krivos's forces. He mapped out patrols, analyzed weak points, and developed strategies that only a human could conceive. He was not just a sniper. He was a strategist, an invisible guardian and a mentor from the shadows. Each intervention, each small act of protection, was calculated to ensure that Lyra would be ready when the moment came for her to confront the warlord. One evening, as Lyra rested in her makeshift shelter, she noticed something unusual. Shadows moved differently. Sounds reached her ears that she could not explain. It was as if someone or something was always just out of sight, watching, waiting. A chill ran down her spine. She could not see anyone, but the feeling of being observed was undeniable. She shook her head, telling herself it was just her imagination. Yet deep down she could not ignore the sense that she had never truly been alone. The next morning, Lyra attempted to venture closer to the fortress. She wanted to understand the enemy, to see the scope of the danger she faced. As she crept through the ruined streets, a group of mercenaries suddenly appeared, blocking her path. Her heart leapt into her throat. She raised her hands in defense, her mind racing for a plan. The mercenaries approached, confident, cruel, and armed. From above, Jack's eyes locked on the targets. He did not hesitate. A silent shot, precise and deadly, took out the nearest threat without alerting the others. Another quick adjustment, and two more were incapacitated. Lyra barely had time to comprehend what was happening before the remaining mercenaries fled, terrified by the sudden chaos. She looked around, bewildered, her heart still pounding. Jack watched her, feeling a mix of pride and worry. She had survived again, but the threat was far from over. He knew Krivos would not stop until he had her, and every intervention he made increased the risk of being discovered. Yet he could not stop. He would protect her until his last breath if necessary. As night fell once more, Lyra returned to her shelter, clutching the mysterious device she had found weeks before. She examined it again, noticing new patterns, new pulses of light. It was as if the device was alive, responding to the dangers around her. She wondered for the first time if there was someone or something looking out for her all these years. The thought was fleeting, almost frightening, and she quickly pushed it aside. She had survived without knowing, and she would continue to do so. High above, Jack adjusted his scope, observing the young woman who had become his reason for vigilance. 10 years of shadows, 10 years of silence, and 10 years of devotion. He had protected her without recognition, without reward, without ever letting her know he existed. And he would continue to do so no matter the cost. But something had changed. The enemy was growing stronger, the planet more dangerous, and Lyra was beginning to notice patterns she could not explain. The time was coming when she might discover the truth. Jack knew that moment would be inevitable. He only hoped that she would understand, and that she would survive what was coming next. The ruins were silent, save for the wind that carried dust through broken streets. Lyra slept fitfully, unaware that above her a human sniper kept vigil, watching over her as he had for a decade. He would never let her fall, even if it meant risking everything. And in the quiet of the night, the first stirrings of a plan began to form. A plan that might finally reveal the truth and test the strength of both human ingenuity and alien courage. The city had grown quieter in the early hours of dawn, but the tension in the air was thicker than ever. Lyra moved cautiously through the ruined streets, her senses alert to every sound. Over the years, she had become skilled at detecting danger, yet something felt different today. There were signs she could not ignore, scorched marks on walls that were too precise for random fire, shadows that moved in ways no normal predator would move, and a sense that she was being watched more closely than ever. She could not explain it, but a tiny spark of curiosity flared within her. Someone, or something, was protecting her, and she was determined to find out who. Jack observed from above, his eyes following her every movement. The orbital station had become a part of him, a silent extension of his vigilance. For 10 years, he had protected her without her knowledge, shaping her survival with careful interventions. Now he realized the moment was approaching when she might discover the truth. The question that haunted him was whether she would understand his actions or see them as betrayal. Lyra reached the edge of a collapsed bridge, looking down at the river below. Water flowed swiftly through the rubble, carrying debris from the broken city. She paused, sensing that the enemy was near. Her instincts screamed that this was no ordinary patrol. Slowly, she inched forward, using the ruins for cover, when a group of mercenaries appeared at the far side of the bridge. They were heavily armed and moving with purpose. Her heart pounded. She could not outrun them all, and she knew it. From above, Jack calculated her chances. The mercenaries were too strong for her to fight directly, but he had a plan. He triggered a sequence on his console. Small drones, equipped with non-lethal energy disruptors, swarmed around the enemy, disabling their communication devices and confusing their sensors. Sparks flew, alarms rang, and the mercenaries scattered, unsure of what was happening. Lyra used the moment to leap from cover to cover, crossing the bridge and disappearing into the ruins beyond. For the first time, Lyra paused and looked back. Something told her this was not luck. This was too precise, too controlled. Someone had guided the outcome. Her mind raced, trying to imagine who it could be. She thought of the device she had found weeks ago, the strange patterns of light and symbols. Perhaps it was connected. Perhaps someone was silently watching her all along. Jack watched her from above, holding his breath. He knew that the discovery was inevitable. He could no longer remain completely invisible, but he also knew that revealing himself too soon could endanger her. Patience had always been his greatest weapon, and now it would be tested more than ever. The days that followed were tense. Lyra began noticing patterns she could not explain. Small interventions, gifts left in impossible places, warnings that arrived just in time. All of them pointed to the same truth. She was not alone. She could not see her protector, yet she felt his presence. Her curiosity grew into a personal mission. She began to leave markers, testing the limits of whoever was watching her, hoping to uncover the identity of the unseen guardian. Meanwhile, Krivos's forces were tightening their grip on the city. The warlord had grown impatient, frustrated that one young woman seemed to survive all his attempts to capture her. Lyra had become more than just a target. She was a symbol of resistance, a spark of hope that the people had begun to rally around. Jack knew that the final confrontation was approaching. The enemy would not wait forever, and neither could he. One night, as Lyra rested in her shelter, she noticed a faint glow outside. Curious, she stepped closer to investigate. The device she had found weeks ago pulsed softly, emitting a pattern of lights that seemed almost like a code. Lyra reached out, touching the device, and a holographic projection appeared. Symbols and images flickered before her eyes, showing scenes she had never witnessed. A distant human watching over her, neutralizing threats, leaving protective devices, guiding her from afar. Her eyes widened in shock. She could not believe what she was seeing. A human, a stranger, had been protecting her all these years. The realization was overwhelming. Questions flooded her mind. Why? How? And most importantly, who was he? Jack watched her reaction from above, knowing the time had come to step closer. He activated a communication channel, careful to remain unseen but audible to her. "Lyra," he said softly, his voice calm but firm. "I have been protecting you for 10 years. Every danger you survived, every life you saved, I was there. I never wanted you to know until now. Lyra spun around, searching for the source of the voice. Her heart raced, a mixture of fear, disbelief, and awe. Who are you? She whispered, her voice trembling. My name is Jack, he replied. I am human. I have been watching over you, keeping you safe because I promised myself that you would live. I could not let anyone hurt you, and I could not let you face the world alone. Lyra's mind reeled. A human, someone so different from everyone she had known, had been her protector all along. Her emotions collided, gratitude, confusion, and a strange sense of connection. She wanted to trust him, but she had spent her whole life surviving alone. Could she rely on someone she had never seen? Jack continued, his voice steady. I have always been here, Lyra. You are strong, smarter than anyone I have ever known, but you did not have to face this world alone. I am here now, and I will not leave your side. Lyra took a deep breath, her instincts clashing with her emotions. Slowly, she stepped forward, reaching out to the device. The hologram shifted, revealing Jack's image. For the first time, she saw the face of her invisible guardian. He was human, lean and steady, with eyes that spoke of determination, patience, and a strange warmth. I don't know what to say, Lyra admitted. I never knew. I thought I was just lucky, or maybe cursed. Jack allowed a small smile. It is not luck and it is not a curse. It is survival, skill, and strategy. And now, we need to focus on what comes next. Krivos will not stop, and the city will not survive unless we act together. The following days were a whirlwind of planning and preparation. Lyra learned from Jack, absorbing his strategies, understanding his interventions, and realizing the depth of his patience and care. Together, they mapped out the city, identified weak points in Krivos' forces, and trained for the inevitable confrontation. Lyra's skills, combined with Jack's human ingenuity, created a partnership neither had anticipated. Finally, the day came when Krivos' forces advanced on the city in full strength. Lyra and Jack moved through the streets, coordinating traps, diversions, and ambushes. The city itself became a maze of strategy. Every ruin, every collapsed building, every hidden alleyway used to their advantage. The mercenaries were skilled, but they were not prepared for the combined intelligence and courage of human and alien working together. Lyra led groups of civilians to safety, her confidence growing with each successful maneuver. Jack provided cover from above, disabling heavy artillery, guiding her movements, and ensuring that every threat was neutralized before it reached her. For the first time, Lyra felt the relief of not being alone. She could trust someone, rely on someone, and fight with someone by her side. The climax came when Krivos himself entered the battle, a towering figure of menace and power. Lyra faced him directly, using the training and guidance she had received from Jack. Every move was calculated, every decision precise. Jack's interventions from above provided the edge she needed, neutralizing Krivos' guards and creating openings for her to act. Finally, Lyra confronted Krivos, using both her agility and intelligence to outmaneuver him. With Jack's support, she delivered the final blow that ended his threat once and for all. The warlord fell, and the city erupted in cautious celebration. Survivors emerged from hiding, witnessing the courage and skill of one young alien girl and the unseen human who had guided her for 10 years. As the dust settled, Lyra turned to look at the sky. She could see the faint outline of the orbital station, and for the first time she understood the depth of Jack's commitment. She felt gratitude beyond words, mixed with a strange sense of wonder. She had survived because of him, grown stronger because of him, and now the future of her city rested in their hands together. Jack descended from the orbital station, finally revealing himself fully. He landed among the ruins, his presence steady and calm. Lyra approached him cautiously, studying his features, seeing not just a human but a guardian, a strategist and a friend. I can't believe you were here all this time, she said softly. Jack nodded. I promised myself I would protect you, and I kept that promise. You survived because you are strong, but I wanted to make sure you had a chance. And now the future is ours to shape together." Lyra smiled, a mixture of relief and admiration. She extended her hand, and Jack took it. For the first time in her life, she felt truly safe. Not because of luck or skill or invisible protection, but because of trust, courage, and the bond between human and alien. The city, though battered and broken, had hope once more. And high above, in the skies once filled with danger, Jack and Lyra looked toward a future where humanity and aliens could work together, where courage and intelligence could overcome even the greatest threats, and where silent guardians could finally step out of the shadows. For 10 years, Jack had watched, waited, and protected. Now at last, Lyra knew, and together they would face whatever came next.